expressionsvinyl.com, and I'm going to show you a fun technique. We talk a lot about our knockout effect that's typically used for materials that can't be layered on top of each other, and our Caesar Easy Reflective Vinyl. It's fairly new. It comes in 9x12s, 12x20s, and it is available on the specialty sample kit. With EasyWeed Reflective, you've got your carrier sheet that is used to protect the material from your iron or any heat. And then we've got our material, and it kind of has a silver metallic finish. It almost has a frosty sheen, and that's just the reflective flex that they've embedded into it. And then we've got our adhesive backing. And it doesn't like there's adhesive on the back, but I promise there is. It's just heat activated, so once it's pressed, it'll just activate the glue and you're ready to go. It does look somewhat holographic. Don't get it, don't think that's what it's gonna look like, because it changes quite a bit once it's off of that carrier sheet. It looks more like a gray color. And if you've noticed, I've got it on my shirt today. I don't know if you can see it. If I twist just right, you might be able to see something kind of funky going on. This is what we're making today. I'm just going to show you the quick technique of how to do the knockout so that the reflective looks like it's hidden within the Caesar EasyWeed Gray. And then we just added some other elements to make a New Year's shirt. I thought this would be fun to do for New Year's because everything's so flashy and glittery, and how much fun would it be to have pictures when all of a sudden you take a flash with your camera and it says 2018. So maybe you can see it on my shirt, maybe you can't, but that's what I'm going to show you how to do today. So we're going to go to the computer, and I'm going to show you how to type it up. I just thought it'd be fun to do a bunch of different sayings in Happy New Year's. So we've got the Scotch origin from I can't remember the name of the song, but the New Year's song with Auld Lang Syne. And then we've got Happy New Year. We've got it in Spanish, German, and French. And so I just thought it'd be fun to type that up. So let's go ahead and head to the computer, and I'll show you how we're going to set that up. So once you've got this typed up, go ahead and get it centered by going over to your alignment tool or your transform, and we're just going to actually go into your fonts and then center it here. And because we want this as close as possible so we can transpose our image a lot easier, we are going to space our lines between our phrases. Just scooch them up as far as you can. And I want this part of the German phrase to be to the very end here. So you're just going to drag this out and put it as close before it starts moving back like that. Okay. A typical font that is used for this technique is called Impact, and it's any system font. You can get it on defonts.com, and there's some other places you can get it as well. This is just a really easy one to use for this, and you want to get them as close as you can. So just adjust your lines, and this is totally preference. You can do it however you like, and scrunch them in as close as well. This is where it gets kind of fun. I will ungroup all of it and put these words together in their phrases. I am going to move. Okay, so I'm going to group these all together. I want to keep these separate because I want to make year fairly large. So just go through and group these all. And then I like to go back through and then go and use your transform, and using this horizontal center tool, just make sure they kind of square back up. Okay. Now, we want this as square as possible, so I just start with the longest one and kind of work from there. So it's about 7.25. I'm going to make sure this is locked, and I'm just going to take it to 7, and then I can play from there. So just go through and do that to all of them, making sure that they're all locked, and don't worry right now about them kind of bunching up. You'll go through and fix that. So just go through and adjust all of these. Okay, so they should all be square. Go back in and center them again. The quickest way to fix this is just to kind of drop them apart. Leave a little bit of a gap in between, because then when you go in and group these as one big solid image, If you go to your vertical transform tool on your spacing, it will kind of space them out evenly. You can have it touch. I like to have some of them touch, some of them I don't. Just adjust it however you would like. Or you can even just do it manually. Okay, and I am going to have these two touch. Any that are touching, you will have to weld and then group them back together. Okay, so we're all ready to go as far as our phrase. This is where you're going to go in and add all the fun tools. We're just going to do our wine glasses and our lips, just so I can save you a little bit of time. And I'll show you how to go in and add them. Okay. Make sure that your image is solid and group it together. If you want to make any edits to this, this will be the time you want to do this. On mine, I actually released it or ungrouped it and got rid of these because this is going to take out a lot of space if I don't. Okay, and then just group that back together. I will start with coloring this, whatever my gray color would be, and my reflective is just a little bit darker. This just gives me a better visual as to how it's going to look and where I need to line things up. And you can make these as big or as small as you would like. Okay, so just adjust it however. One of my favorite tricks to do with this, because you are going to have quite a few gaps and you want it to be as noticeable as possible. So, I mean, that star is going to be kind of cut off. The stars, I will actually ungroup that, and I'm going to move them to where I think they will fit a little better. And resize them however you want. If there's anything like this, you could go in and get rid of that, or just put it wherever you want. I think it'll be fine right there. And we're going to do the same thing to that one. And you can go and adjust. And then once that's where you would like it to be, whoops, put these all back together. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually go into my color palette here, and under transparency I'm going to make that just a little more transparent. And what this does is it makes it a lot easier for me to see what is going to stay. Anything that is touching a letter is what is going to be cut out of the EZ Weed reflective, and anything that is behind it in the white gaps is what's going to be what is showing here in between the gaps is what you will get rid of. So just kind of adjust it however you want it to be. This one I would probably go in and get rid of that P just so I can have a better image there, but it's totally preference. So do that to both of them, just make them transparent and make sure it's where you want it. Oh, I forgot those. Okay. I think that's fairly good. I'd probably want a little bit more of that, but you can still kind of see that that's going to be a wine glass. So the tricky part here is for simpler images, if you were to just take two squares and maybe a circle with this same technique, you would just take both of these images and going into your modify window, you're just going to hit divide, and it's going to let you take out piece by piece. This is what you're going to want. When you have this many images, you kind of have to separate it. So you're going to want to ungroup that and ungroup it so there's as many possible boxes. Because if you try to do this whole thing, you're going to get a message. The divide operation cannot be applied to more than 16 shapes. So the easiest way to avoid this is to just select your image and then work with the letters that are being affected by the divide. And then just hit divide. Depending upon your computer, this could take time and the size of the image, but if you do it in sections, it'll be much easier. Okay, So this is, whoops, going back. That is what you're going to want it to look like. Anything that is divided is going to change color. So now I can go in and get rid of this. I can get rid of all these gray pieces right here. Be mindful some of them aren't divided like I just grabbed there. You'll have to go through on your next section and do that. And you're just going to keep doing this process until they're all turned gray. Every once in a while, an image will kind of get kicked to the back. Just bring it back to the front by right-clicking and selecting Bring Back to Front. So for this star, for example, you're going to want to ungroup that and go through and grab them as many times as you want. So you're just going to repeat this whole process. And once it looks like this, you can just go in and start grabbing little pieces. So we're just going to focus on the lips right now because you're just going to repeat that same process throughout the rest of the wording. When it's all said and done, you should have an image that looks like this. And I've added a little bit more to it, and all of these items will be in the blog that will be able to go find in Silhouette Store. So all of these right here are going to be my reflective vinyl. This will be my gray, and these will be, well, this is knocked out. So look, we'll just use this as our simple shape. You're just going to select that and hit divide. And once it's divided, I can pull that out, and now I've got a knockout space. Okay, so I've got my gray Easy Weed, my glitter HTV silver confetti, and my reflective. So let's go to the machine, and we are going to cut out our Easy Weed reflective so you can see how we do that. Okay, so now we've got our image mostly designed. I've already gone ahead and got the rest of it done, but I hope you get the technique. If not, the blog will have more detail. Okay, so we're going to take our Caesar Easy Weed reflective, and you're going to want to cut this just like you would Easy Weed. So I have my settings at a blade of a 2, a thickness or force, depending upon the version, of a 6, and then a speed of about a 4. You can slow it down if you prefer. If you've got a lot of little details, I would slow it down. So let's go ahead and get it loaded and cutting. All right, so we're just going to line it up. We're not going to need a map for this, so I'm just going to line it up with this line and make sure that my rollers are covering the whole thing. I like to have my Easy Weed adjusted to the 9-inch mark. Then I don't have to worry about it coming too close to the edge and wiggling to ruin my cut. So I like to leave it there on the Easy Weeds. Okay, we're going to use our auto blade. And like I said, we're going to have it at a blade 2, which it will come over here and adjust to a blade 2, and then it will move over to adjust its thickness. So let's go ahead and send it. And don't forget to mirror your image. If you do any more rotations than just mirroring, make sure that it is still mirrored when you rotate it. So now we're adjusting our blade thickness, or our force, sorry. And here we go. All right, so it's cut, so let's go ahead and just hit unload. And we are going to square it up and weed it out. The Caesar Easy Weed reflective is probably one of my favorites because it is super soft and it's so easy to weed. You can still use the heat press trick like we've done in a couple videos before, where you just warm up the surface and it makes it even easier to weed. Because it's so soft, it kind of has a tendency to want to rip a little bit, but that's okay. It's just a really soft material, which is awesome for your shirts, so they're not stiff. So I like to weed out the excess around my weeding box first. And then just go through and trim it off with your knife. Okay, and then just pull off your excess carrier sheet. And then just start weeding. It is a little bit harder to see, but since it's so soft, like I've said, the carrier sheet, or the heat transfer, is super easy to weed because it's so soft. It likes to break a little bit, but I don't see that as a disadvantage. I actually see it as an advantage because you get breaking points. So don't worry if it rips, it's normal. It's just really soft. And if you feel like this is a lot of waste, because a lot of people don't like to waste vinyl, I'm doing it on this just so I have easy alignment. But sometimes if you do your easy weed, when you're doing layers like this, you're still layering. You're just not layering on top of each other. If you haven't pre-pressed your garment, sometimes it can shrink quite a bit. So just keep in mind that there's a possibility that it could shrink a little bit. So if you want to save on space, you can still cut these all out and then just place them on for a little bit easier alignment. So let's just get this weeded out real fast. Okay, right here where we've got all of these little bits from our lips, that is probably going to be the most tedious part. So just keep in mind, if you have an image that is in a clumping of a bunch of letters and it itself kind of has a lot of spots, you might have a lot of little bitty pieces to weed. So just keep that in mind. And also it works much easier to have a solid design for the backer than another font or a sporadic image. So just keep that in mind as well. I think I have got everything. So you'll find out pretty quick if you don't once you go to use other colors. So I've got our other images already cut. Got our sunglasses and our little party star border here already cut out, and our fireworks, because who doesn't want fireworks? And we've got our gray already cut out as well. So before you go to press it, I always recommend lining these up to make sure you didn't miss any parts. Make sure that nothing was moved. And if it was moved, that's when I say you can cut it apart, or you can just kind of go with it. So that matches up pretty well. I've already got my shirt pre-pressed, and I've got a crease going down the middle. So I'm just going to lay this out how I think it should fit. But I want to do my fireworks first, so they need to go behind and just kind of fit them in wherever you think will look nice. They don't have to be perfect. Okay, just take these off and let's head on over to our heat press. Okay, so I've got these on there already lined up. I want to make sure to stay away from any bulk collars or sleeves. Make sure that they're completely on there. For layering, this one won't matter too much because it doesn't matter if these shrink, but I like to put my 305 degrees down to about 194, 95, and then I'm only going to hit it for about 2 seconds. And this will kind of eliminate any little bit of shrinking that could happen. Just be careful that it's at least on there. It hasn't been completely cured for the longest period of time, but we're layering, so we don't want to do the whole time frame at once. Okay, so the next layer, I'm just going to fold this and make a little bit of a crease. It's not going to affect your heat transfer because you're just going to be flattening it back out. And I still have my line. It's very faint, but I still have it. We're just going to line that back up and send it back into the heat press. Okay, when we want to, we're only going to hit this for a couple seconds again, but we don't want to touch any of that directly, so we're just going to take our cover sheet and we are just going to hit it for a couple seconds, and it's also protecting that gold. Okay. I said, be careful when you're doing it for a lower temperature and a lower time. If it needs maybe a second or two longer, especially for images right there where it wants to lift up, just set it back down. Don't rip it off quite yet. Just do it for a couple more seconds. All right, and this is where our magic happens. We're just going to line it up as best we can. If you notice that it is off even the slightest and you just don't like that, just cut it apart, and then you can do the individual pieces. Because the vinyl can shrink a little bit. And be sure to clean off any excess on the sides. Okay, so this is the reflective that I just put on there, and it will kind of look like that when the light hits it, but when I take the carrier sheet off, it's going to lose that because the light's not reflecting off of it. And now we are adding on our glitter heat transfer vinyl just to give it a little bit more of a New Year's glittery flair. And this I'm going to do for a little bit longer. I will adjust the temperature about to 315 or 310, just because glitter heat transfer takes a higher temperature. And do it for about 10 seconds. And then all of my layers will kind of come to the same point. All right, we just pulled that out of the heat press, and we have our new New Year's Eve. When light hits it, it will refract the light really, really well, or if a flash hits it, it's super awesome. So, which you will see in the blog, there will be better pictures, but that's a quick and easy way to do a flash knockout using the EZ Weed Reflective. It's only available in the silver, but if you like this or if you have any questions, give us a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us any comments or questions below, and have a happy new year. Bye.